Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a man in modern society. And with Matthew recovering from his marathon, running in 4 hours and 19 minutes today up on the Gold Coast in beautiful weather, even though he thought it would be raining and he would chafe his quads and his groin. I think he's going okay. It's just me and Ryan though. How you doing, Ryan?
G'day, mate. Doing pretty well here. We have a new little puppy, which is just the apple of my eye. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty tired. I'm on the back end of some very long hours and a weekend of studying and all things exciting in Cambridge, which always leaves me a bit fried. But it's good. Sunday morning. Got a dog that just jumps around when she sees you, so makes everything better in the world.
I think dogs are great like that. No matter what happens, they're always happy to see you. You can literally be gone for 5 minutes and you get back and it's like you've been gone for like the whole day that happened.
Yeah, when I walk upstairs after this, it'll just be just pure joy. Yeah,
she's gorgeous. Got a good little tail wag, does she?
Loves the tail wag. Loves to play around, loves to flip on her back, get some belly scratches. But she's such a lap dog. Like, she'll have a bit of a run and then you'll just sit on a couch, she'll jump up and bam, just be on the lap. Or if I'm working from home, she'll just nag to sit on the lap while typing away at the laptop. So it's pretty great, to be honest.
Yeah, that's unreal. That's cool, really cool. And how's that going with the balance? Because you've switched roles now as well. So between new role, new puppy, how's things?
Yeah, new role, new puppy, lots going on back on the other side of the world as well. Building a house too, which the slab went down, which is great. So just it's all good, just nice and medlem and at the moment. Some unavoidable 7-day weeks, shall we say, but that's okay. Nothing lasts forever.
Now, what are we going to talk about tonight, mate?
Well, I would love to chat about something that has been pondering on my mind, leaving the big wide world of corporate, which I'm quite happy to do, if I'm honest, and really just having a look at how to stay grounded. I think one of the things that a lot of men, or in particular myself, find challenging is that we wrap ourselves in identity of, be that a role, be that certain ways we go about things, be that brands, all those kind of things. And I know it's kind of, shall I say, skip that completely, and you kind of don't get sucked into any of that. So love your thoughts on that. And I guess being grounded and avoiding the trap that I thought I was avoiding the world, no matter how, that I did basically get sucked into that whole trying to be a bit flashy and keeping up with the Joneses. So as somebody that I know who does it better than most, I'd love your thoughts on just how to stay grounded and how to roll around in the $20 Kmart kicks rather than $120 Nike kicks.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know where to start. Like, I guess I would start near the start, which is, I guess, when I was a teenager, we had not much at all. I remember my dad, he's a carpenter, he hurt his hand once. I remember putting some $5 notes in my mum's wallet because he couldn't work for 6 weeks, almost got his hand off. So financial security for me has always been a big one. It's something which is my dad up at night a lot, I guess, over his lifetime. That and, was it restless leg syndrome? But the combination of the two. So for me, a lot of it's around financial security. So if I feel financially secure, then I guess I feel more stable. And part of that is managing what I spend. But I also have never really felt the need from probably my late teenage years to keep up with the Joneses. And part of that was just the culture that I was kind of in at the time. Like, that was around when Trainspotting came out, and that was probably my favorite film of all time. Probably came out at a sort of transformational time for me when I was like sort of 17 or 18. And that's all, there's that famous, I've read the book as well, so the book's great. About choose life, and there's a big diatribe about choose fucking TV, choose blah 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 blah, trying to impress people who don't really matter, and that really resonated with me. Like I'd never felt the need to try to impress people who I don't really care about, just random people. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I think one of the things that I've found really challenging, because I had much the same growing up, but then when I found myself having some success and having money and having relative financial security, and appreciate that that is something that does keep a lot of people up at night, I found it really hard not to spend and enjoy it a little. And that's where I think one of the trappings can be, is when you do get that little bit, be it a bonus or be it something that does. And I mean, given now, especially where macroly across the world, plenty of people are facing challenges with rising costs and all that kind of thing, I think, yeah, having a look and almost having a little bit of humble pie and kind of being able to get back to a bit of those thrifty roots is something that I'm really looking at. But did you ever have, like, when you started to make the dough, shall we say, any trappings that you sort of fell into?
No, I'll say no. I didn't. There's no real trappings, but like I kind of I've always, for probably the last 10 or 15 years, like it's probably about 15 years ago where I discovered sort of, and when I listened to this was Ram Sethi, and he's a money guru in the United States, and a few other sort of podcasts, just talking about where you spend your money and how you spend your money. They're very big on, okay, if there's something that you really like, spend within reason, spend as much as you can afford in that, if that's something you really get joy out of, but don't spend stuff on X, Y, and Z that you don't really enjoy. So I don't really get a kick out of clothes that much. Like I'll buy clothes which will make me look smart enough, but like, sometimes with clothes about how you wear them as well. My wife's always into me about, like, I'm not very house proud. Like I think I've got a nice house. I don't need to always be kind of adding to it. So there's a particular area, and the area is my own personal health, where I'll spend basically not unlimited money, but I spend my money on that. So I bought I've cycled through a whole different sort of set of bedding, so I can sleep better at night. I've got the gym stuff in the garage. I take more supplements than the average person for particular things. I'll go and get a private blood test every sort of 12 months to 18 months to make sure my health is going okay. Because, the most important thing for me is that I feel good, or as good as I can, every day, for as long as I can each day. There's sort of no ups and downs. Like I'll wake up in the morning, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good for most of the day. So there's no sort of ups and downs. And I think part of that is, because I've invested, and I have a curiosity around health. So harking back to your question, like if there's one thing that you like, spend as much as you want on that, but maybe try not to get caught on spending, stuff in other areas where you probably don't get as much enjoyment out of, and it is more around maybe perception.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the trappings that I sort of had a look at, was I just started spending in all areas, and I was like, well, I enjoy all things. But obviously it's, you enjoy things in different proportions. And I think it's one of the things I'm really having a look at the moment, and I think is quite topical given everything going on. And one of the things that I'm sort of grappling with a bit is, just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should. And I think that can be the flip side of, and appreciating that this is coming from a very privileged position now. And I think the uncomfortability comes in that I've not found myself in life in this privileged position. Prior to that, it was just like, how to pay for food on the table type thing, or how to get through with some money at the end of the month type thing. But I think now it's like grappling with just because it's there and you can doesn't necessarily mean you should. And wondering if, I imagine you would have the same thing, that there is resources there, and that's very fortunate to have. How do you taper the temptation to go, well, actually, I'll just go for a bit of a splurge here?
Yeah, so again, it depends on what it is. Like if it's in an area that I want to splurge on, I'll splurge, and I won't really think about it if it's within, sort of the dollar range. Like I'll happily, like I've dropped a couple of $100 on pillows, and my wife's like, "You got like 4 pillows in your bed." I've gone, "Yeah," because that one didn't work, and that one didn't work, but I got a really good night's sleep after I bought that one, and then I've got a cuddle pillow for when it's winter because that helps like my back. So I have no problem. I'll just within a dollar range. And again, if it's, you can set that no matter what your budget is. So like if you've got more sort of, material wealth, you can make your budget higher that you just don't worry about what that is. But then in other areas, like you go, okay, I don't really care about clothing. So I won't spend that much on clothing. I'll buy I'll go and jump on ASOS when they've got a sale and I'll buy 6 pieces of clothing for $100 and that's me done for the year. So I don't care so much about that, but I'll buy, I'll spend 3 times as much on pillows with my budget of a couple $100 where I won't care.
Yeah, I think that's discerning like what is the important thing and what isn't. And how do you, I mean, inevitably, people talk about this stuff, whether you like it or not, whether they're being a wanker or not. And let's be honest, I think most people have at some point been kind of a wanker talking about this, or big noting things, or inflating things, or getting a new car, or those kind of things. How do you not get suckered into those conversations?
Yeah, I don't know. People talk. You can look at life as a dick swinging competition, or it's a not dick swinging competition. I don't really care. Like if people want to swing their dicks, happy days. Like I don't feel the need to partake in that. I got a playlist on Amazon, and it's called the "Fuck You" playlist, and I'll listen to that. When I need to. There's 4 or 5 songs on there, which is pretty much just like, you know, I think one of them's Rage Against the Machine, "Fuck You, I Won't Do What You Tell Me," sort of stuff like that. So I just every time that sort of creeps into my head, I'll either listen to that sort of 20 minutes worth of music, or I have like a bit more time. There's a couple of Mark Manson books, life changing. His 2 fuck books. I'll read a couple of chapters out of that, and it just sort of resets when it may creep in. It doesn't creep in much anymore because I've kind of over the years I've kind of baked it into myself not to care. But yeah, if people want to do the dick swing competition, more power to them. But I don't feel the need to partake in it.
Yeah, I do love the Mark Manson stuff. Would highly recommend getting out on that. Although, albeit I probably haven't read it too much in the last 2 years, which is
well, it's not practical. Yeah. Sometimes it's not practical to pick up a chapter, but like there's 3 songs is like 10 minutes worth or 12 minutes worth of 12 minutes worth of music in my ear, which I love music anyway. So for me, I just put on 3 or 4 songs, and that will kind of reset. I'll be like, well, I don't give a fuck about that. So let's get on with whatever we're doing next.
I like that grounding, and a lot of the stuff that I've been listening to and looking at with this kind of piece that is a bit of transformation pieces around really like the more that you can engage with the present and what you're doing, and definitely a puppy is helping with that, the more that stuff won't matter, because so much of it's thinking of your future self or if then situation. So if I have this, then I will be happy, or if this was to occur, then I will, versus actually just being like, well, actually I'm pretty, if I just stop, and so that whole stop and smell the roses thing, which is so much harder to do than to say, I guess. But certainly a puppy does help with that. But I think, yeah, it's just been a real bit of a shock in that one of the things that can come about, and I think a lot of people get challenged with this, is the stuff you end up kind of pursuing, that if and then situation becomes the stuff that makes you miss out on the present, or becomes the stuff that ends up owning you versus you ending up owning it, shall we say. And I think
does the trap kind of arise when you're under stress, or if you're bored? Because they're 2 triggers for a lot of people. If you're kind of stressed out, you're like, I'll reward myself with X, Y, or Z. Or if you're bored, you'd be like, oh, I'm bored, I'm just going to get X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, there's literally just been like the last 2 years, like, well, I'm stressed and I'm doing all this work and I'm just going to reward myself as a result of that. And I think, yeah, as you say, equally with the board thing, but I think there's a freeingness that I see whenever I speak to you about this kind of thing, and kind of I think you are one of the people that does this really, really well, in that actually if you can keep yourself out of that game, which is very hard because, you know, companies are marketing to get you into the game, but if you can keep yourself out of the game in really challenging times like it is at the moment, with energy bills, rising fuel costs and all those kind of things, suddenly you're already getting, you know, the $10 shirt from ASOS, and you kind of go, okay, I can weather this a lot more, versus what compromises do I have to give. And I think, yeah, just being able to stay out of that game a little bit can help buffer against some of this stuff, albeit appreciating that both of us have the luxury of having this conversation of, you know, having less versus actually the other flip side, which I know a lot of people struggle with, which is, how do I just pay for the basics without going into credit?
Yeah, and I've totally been there as well. Like I've, you know, not been able to draw, like 13, 14 years ago, not being able to actually draw out $20 out of the bank because I didn't have it there. So I've kind of seen both spectrums. So that also keeps you grounded when you've been there. You kind of think, I don't want to go back there, so I'm not going to flippantly spend stuff on X, Y, and Z. Or, you know, the big swinging competition happens and someone's like, oh, yeah, I'm driving this car, or I'm doing that. I go, well, that doesn't interest me enough to try to pursue that. Or, you know, if I could afford it, I don't really want to buy that, because I'd prefer to maybe keep the money in the bank account, so then I don't possibly go back to that time where, you know, I had to eat biscuits out of the work kitchen because I didn't have any food. I couldn't even get $20 out of the bank.
Yeah, and I think I like your song thing. I think having some form of token reminder, something to just kind of grab to when, you know, inevitably those desires will come, can just kind of check you a little bit. I do think that's quite helpful.
Oh, share my playlist. You probably won't like much of it. There's some Eminem in there though. You probably don't mind a bit of Eminem. So even a couple of his songs are quite good. They're a bit of fuck the world sort of stuff.
I quite like Rage Against the Machine, so share the playlist. But as we know, we do have very different tastes in music.
But even within your realm of music, there'll be songs which you pretty much stick the finger out to the world. So they're the ones you kind of need there, because the world is that comparison, and that, you know, X person's got that, so I've got to compete with them, or, you know, I've got to stay at least up with them. And it's I've never felt the need to, which is, it's an awesome sort of thing that I don't feel that at all. But yeah, again, anytime it creeps in a little bit, the songs have peaks.
I think, I really like the idea of just grabbing onto something. As somebody who does feel the need to get involved in that game, far more than I would like to, I think the really good thing is out there, if you do sort of sense check yourself and go, you know what, to be honest, I'm going to feel much better just being more authentic, enjoying a good cup of coffee and having some money in the bank to go to sleep at with no problems, than going and buying that extra piece of clothing to kind of put in front of someone's face. I think that the amount of resources out there, and there's a real movement towards, you know, true joy and wealth, as opposed to materialistic. There's certainly heaps for people to find.
Yeah, mate, you got a wonderful fiance. You got a dog. You can make a great cup of coffee at home. You actually don't need anything much more than that. You can eat whatever food you want. Like, you know, life's good.
Life is good, and I think that's very, very good way to start my Sunday morning. Life is good. Life is very good. And again, like, yeah, I know a lot of people are doing it pretty tough out there, but I think just learning to live. Funnily enough, last night, right, you're talking about music, and we've got like a Google Play going on in the house at dinner, and Thrift Store comes on, or the thrift shop. I can't remember who sings it, but it was
Macklemore.
Yeah, Macklemore. That's it.
Might put that on my list, actually.
I was like, you know what? This needs to go on my playlist. And I think everybody could, benefit from just being that little bit more thrifty, not just for the bank balance, but also for the planet as well. So it's a nice double win there.
I think it's a good note to end on, and a good song to end on. I'm going to add that to my playlist. That actually ticks the box as well.
Awesome. Send me that playlist when you add it then.
Will do. Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. We will probably be back with another episode of Daddy Eats Last next week. We've been a bit hit and miss recently, with people doing bits and bobs. We'll try to make it a bit more regular, or we may switch to once a month and do something a bit special once a month. The Daddy Eats Last heads, Ryan, Matthew, and myself, we will try to get together and knock out another Daddy Eats Last soon. In the meantime, take care, everyone, and soon.